BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with the action and the ability to watch games as they happen. Largest selection of odds on everything: football, the NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC. Head to BetOnline. Don't forget to use the promo code Bleav, BLEAV, and your welcome bonus with your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. Welcome to another edition of Bleav in Giants. Bob Papa, two-time Super Bowl champion Carl Banks, and going to talk about the Giants' win against the Indianapolis Colts. I know for some of you out there, you're shocked. Others are annoyed. We're going to make some sense of it. And remember, make sure you leave your comments if you're watching us on YouTube, and make sure you like us when you listen to this podcast. So, Carl, this is a performance out of nowhere yesterday.
Yeah.
Most points scored since 2015, that wild loss against the New Orleans Saints. Most points scored at home since 2012, when they hung 52 on the Saints at MetLife Stadium. Leaves you wondering, where was this all year?
Well, it really comes down to quarterback play, in my opinion, Bob. I think they had really good quarterback play out of Drew Lock. But what it also tells you is that when people were posting these clips of wide open receivers that Daniel Jones, didn't see or didn't have time to throw the ball to them, now you get a chance to see what this offense should have looked like all year. And the reason I say that also, folks, is the Indianapolis Colts were playing for something on Sunday. So they were in playoff contention. They were playing for something. But when you see the schematics of this offense and guys were wide open and Drew Lock was connecting with them, now a few things happened. They didn't give up a sack. Right? So that helps when your quarterback has time to make throws, but it simply comes down to having good quarterback play in this system, in any system. But when you see the explosiveness of this offense that we've been looking for all year, and now you've gotten a glimpse of what it was supposed to be.
I guess the thing that's head-scratching is that they've played against some other bad defenses. They've played against, or not top-tier defenses, and they've looked inept. And it's not even like they ran the ball well yesterday. Other than Tracy's 40-yard run,
yeah,
they didn't really get much out of the run game. It's kind of crazy the way the game played out and the way it all unfolded. But I give Drew Lock a lot of credit for playing a really good game. And listen, you get a kickoff return for a touchdown. You win the turnover battle, which they hadn't done all year. They hadn't won a turnover battle all year. And it all adds up to this phenomenal win. I was thinking about this. You think about, we were talking about the explosive plays. The Giants this season had 6 pass plays of 30 or more yards. They had 5 in the game yesterday. They almost matched their season total in one game.
Well, look, again, Bob, it really comes down to quarterback play, right? If we've seen, and, a lot of the content creators were experts at pointing out wide open guys that the quarterback didn't see, or quarterback didn't have time and he rushed. Well, now those guys, the same guys were open, same guys caught passes too, by the way. And the quarterback made great decisions. And so that's what it really comes down to in this league. Having a quarterback that can make good decisions, you protect him. But the schematics of this offense is what people were expecting all year. They didn't get it. But they weren't, here's the other thing too, and we'll kind of ease into, the anger right now. But they weren't dog shit, as someone said on my Twitter feed. Oh yeah, they were competitive in games. Like there were a few that weren't competitive, right? Others they were. So, and then those are the games that leave you scratching your head saying, well, if they could not self-inflict penalties, if they would not get the procedural calls, if they could not turn the ball over, if they could value possessions, then that game becomes a different game. Like we've had these conversations on this podcast. So, they're losing heartbreakers or losing games, and you look at it and you say, well, here's a missed opportunity, there's a missed opportunity, and here's a missed opportunity. That's why. And as much as this defense had been just completely ripped apart by me on their inability to stop the run, and they did a good job yesterday. It wasn't great, but they did a good job. They did a good enough job in the offense being as explosive as it was. You got a chance to see what happens when Brian Burns turns his ears back, right? You got a chance to see even Kayvon Thibodeau made plays on the Drew Phillips interception. They both hit the quarterback. So you get a chance to see.
I think it was Thibodeau who got pressure on Flacco on the first drive of the game that led it to the underthrow, and Dane Belton with a big interception as well.
Yeah, so you get a chance to see this while people, were questioning whether Brian Burns was any good, whether he was elite, whether you see what he can do. He was constantly making plays. People were saying, well, he's no good against the run. Did you not see him chase down a runner from the other side to prevent a first down? Like the guy plays the run. He did really well. But this is why they won the game, right? Because they allowed themselves to do the things necessary to win. They did not do the self-inflicting things. Now, game probably could have been a lot different if Deonte Banks, doesn't have, two big explosive play penalties, if you will. Like the equivalent of explosive plays, he has two of those. And both of those plays leaves you scratching your head like you weren't beat. You were in phase. Turn, locate the ball. Why did you panic? And so now the question is, and Tony Casillas asked me, honestly, he says, Carl, can Deonte Banks play? I said,
Jonathan Casillas.
Yeah, what did I say?
Tony Casillas.
Tony Casillas. That's the Casillas of my era. Jonathan Casillas says, he looked at me and he says, can Deonte Banks play? And I looked at him and I said, that's a great question. The fact that he is playing receivers well this game tells me he's capable. But until he does it, I can't say that he can play. He's good enough to play in the league if you can do the things he did in the game Sunday, but then you just can't panic and make those penalties. And that's one of the true things about a cornerback. Can you play cornerback? Being a good cornerback in this league means you don't panic when you're right there next to a receiver. You look for opportunities. I would like to think that that's correctable. We'll find out. But I Bleav he can play. I Bleav he can play cornerback in the NFL when he's locked in. But there are some things he's got to get better at. He's going into his third year. He's not a throwaway. But we'll see.
Carl, it really jumped at me. Like he could have been called for a couple more pass interferences in the game. And it really dawned on me last night as I was watching the Commanders and the Falcons. And A.J. Terrell, the outstanding corner of the Atlanta Falcons, basically traveled with Terry McLaurin and did an amazing job on him. And I was watching, like, there were so many times where Jaden Daniels, like, was taking a shot down a sideline to McLaurin, and Terrell in really good position. And I was thinking it because it really jumped out at me. Banks was in the same position on Pittman or Pierce on numerous occasions. And then he starts grabbing and pulling. And then if you watched A.J. Terrell last night, other than a little hand check that's going to happen, they both were hand checking. He locates the ball, as you say, and then he try to make a play on the ball to get in McLaurin's way or to tip the pass. And it really served as a stark reminder to me as far as like Banks's confidence level and his execution, because it's one thing if you're getting completely beaten off the ball and you're just trailing and you got to clutch and grab because you're burned. He's got great coverage.
Right.
How do they get this out of him?
He's got to get it out of him. He's got to develop good habits. Remember, I said,
because there's no coach in the league, and Jerome Henderson's a good secondary coach who's been doing a lot. There's no coach in the league that's not telling him the same thing that you and I are talking about right now.
Right. You've got to develop good habits. That's a player thing. Like I said, young players with bad habits become old players that, teams don't have use for. And he's got to break that habit. He's had his ups and downs this season, right? But he's matured. He's shown up since his benching, and he's given better effort. But the coverage piece of it is what they hire you for as a cornerback in this league. If you can stay in phase with a receiver, you cannot panic. And he's got to work on that. He's got to work on the little things, right? Because as he heard from McCurlin after the Washington game, as he heard from the Cleveland players.
Yeah, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah. All of those guys said he's lazy in certain areas, right? And they knew they could get certain things on him. So develop good habits so that they don't go to school on you. Or if a team is down and they need to score quickly, let's run a go route on Banks. He's going to grab you, and it's going to be a pass interference, and we'll tilt the field to our advantage. So he's got some work to do. He's not a throwaway kid. He doesn't lack confidence. He 100% does not lack confidence. He doesn't get in the doghouse. That's the good part about him. Now he's got to work on the football part of attention to detail.
I was thinking about it. How, like, my son Max, he's got like how all the baseball players now are wearing sliding gloves?
Yeah.
They look like oven mitts. I swear, I almost want to buy Deonte Banks a pair of sliding mitts for each hand. And whenever you do one-on-one drills in practice or in training camp, I'd make him put on the sliding gloves so he can't grab and just do your thing, man. Do your thing.
What he would end up doing is tackling the guy if he couldn't grab him. So he's got to develop good habits, man. So, so we have kind of given you a glimpse of why they played well. It came together, right? And obviously, this is a team that did not want to be that team that lost every game at home. This is a team that did not want to leave the season and the fans that showed up with a bad taste in their mouth. And, I said it on our last podcast. I said, some fans will want this team to win this game. Other fans won't. And I said, I understand why. But just the thing is, folks, they do not throw games. There's a thing called integrity. And whether you want them to do it and whether you're mad, that they did not throw a game, that's your prerogative, right? But just understand, those men are of character and integrity, and it means something to them. And also, it's a physical sport. And like Darius Slayton said after the game, man, I'm not going out there to let somebody whoop my ass and lay down. It's a physical game. He's not getting hurt for that. So that's part of it. And, and I get, as soon as the game's over with, I get a congratulations. Everybody, people are mad at me because the Giants won. Like I had something to do with the outcome. Because I said I expected this team to come out and play with some pride, because I said I expected them to win the game. And so they do. Now you're mad at me? Why don't you be mad at the Indianapolis Colts, right? Or show some fucking courage and tweet at the players for ruining your dream, right? But these guys are living their dream. These coaches, these players, everybody in that organization, they're playing for something. So listen to this one, folks. And I'm going to ask you this question, Bob. How many rookie seasons does Tyrone Tracy and Malik Nabers get?
One.
You get one rookie season, right? So how many chances does a guy like Malik Nabers have to be 1,000-yard receiving rookie?
One.
Okay. Same thing with Tracy, right? So folks, while you're thinking they shouldn't play for anything and they just blew a chance at something, you got guys who are playing for something. These guys are rookies once, right? They get one shot to be 1,000-yard receiver as a rookie, 1,000-yard rusher as a running back. And if you're so disappointed that Saquon Barkley left, and however that worked out, right? He wasn't going to be a 2,000-yard back with the Giants, but you got a 1,000-yard back with a bad offensive line or a hurt patchwork offensive line. So if you want to look at where the future may lay, you're in good hands right now with Tyrone Tracy, with Malik Nabers. You had several other players playing for something.
Every player was playing for something,
right? But when I'm saying is, Drew Phillips has one rookie year to make the impact that he's made, right? To keep the needle pointing up. And the one thing that, we're saying, well, he doesn't have any interceptions. Guess what? He got one yesterday, right? You call Kayvon Thibodeau a bust. Well, Drew Phillips got his interception because Kayvon Thibodeau made a play. You say that Brian Burns wasn't elite. Well, now when you see the circumstances, which, by the way, folks, is why you see so many other game-changing plays from other players around the league, is when they can get into the things that they do well, is when they show what they can do. But if you can't stop the run and he's constantly never getting an opportunity to rush the passer, well, no, he's not going to be an elite pass rusher because you haven't seen him do it enough. But you saw constantly. And again, this is a team, they played the Colts, that were in playoff contention. Last I checked, the Colts had pretty good tackle over there. So
all-pro guard, a perennial all-pro guard in Quentin Nelson.
Yeah. So what you got is their best. And they were not mistake-free, but they played a game where they didn't give up a sack. They played to win the game. They never not play to win the game, but it all came together. And it all came together because the quarterback play, and you can put whatever name you want on the back of the jersey, the quarterback play of the New York Giants on Sunday was really good. He made great decisions with the football, and you see exactly what folks were expecting to see all season from Brian Daboll's offense. And guys wide open, and you got a quarterback that hit them. But for all of you guys who are upset because the draft order isn't even set yet, but you're raging right now because your draft order has been affected. First, I would say pause and wait until you see where it finally lands. Now, the question I ask those who said that we just lost out on our chance to get our franchise quarterback, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know enough about either guy. And I bet you, I wager most of you, not most of you, a lot of you know less than I know about him. And so you're raging, and we haven't seen a scouting report. We don't know who's who and who's better, right? We just know that one guy is coached in the pro system, the other guy is super, super talented, right? And then, oh, by the way, there's a guy that just declared for the draft who's also in a pro coach system. So we don't know what the scouting reports are saying, and I would encourage all of you who are angry because you may miss a chance on your franchise quarterback. Do some research, see what the scouting reports say, right? Just because they're the two best in this draft, and there'll be three best in the draft when Dart comes out, does that make them franchise saviors? Are they the ones that are generational that, and if they are, and the Giants are within striking distance, they'll make a deal to go get him, just like Ernie Accorsi did to get Eli Manning. But, you know, and again, I'm encouraging people to research, to find real scouts to give you information on these guys, because you're really upset and you need to know what you're upset about.
Well, it's early in the process here, Carl.
Right, but people are parroting these narratives, and I understand why you're upset, right? But players don't throw games.
No.
So here's the thing. I encourage all of you to research which one of these guys that you're upset about, that this team might miss out on. Find out if he is that next generational talent. Because there was a draft, and there have been many drafts where guys go 1 and 2, and one that sticks out to me is Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston, right? Both kids have had very long careers. Some have had more success than others. Neither one turned out to be the franchise generational altering talent. Both guys were super, super good in college. So I'm not saying this about either one of these kids because, like I said, I know nothing about them other than watching some plays when they play on TV. I have not evaluated them. And I'm going to let the smart people that do that for a living write those reports, and then I'll digest it, and then I'll cut on film, and then I'll know what I'm looking at, right? But I'm encouraging all of you to do that too, because you're really going off, and you're pointing some of your anger at me, which I find laughable because I didn't play and I didn't impact the outcome of the game. But I understand why you're upset, but I think some of you need to understand why you're upset. Because if you're saying we missed our opportunity for a quarterback, maybe not. But which quarterback is it? And what do you know about him? What are the scouts saying about him? Not just Giant scouts. What are the scouting services saying about both of those quarterbacks? And then now that Jackson Dart's coming out, what are they saying about him? What are those reports saying? Right. So
in the fall of his last year in college, Mahomes was projected to go in the mid-20s. Okay, Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
And Andy Reid saw something in him. Andy Reid didn't trade to number 3. He traded to 10 because he knew he could get him at 10.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's to your point. Everybody is acting as if there's like certainty on these quarterbacks. We don't know what the evaluation process is going to be moving forward with which guys actually have the best upside to be a pro.
Mm-hmm. And that, folks, I get why you're upset. Don't be mad at me. But if you're upset, and just like if when my kids were younger and they came in, they were, screaming and crying, and I'm like, calm down, tell me what's wrong. So I'm saying to you, calm down, tell me what's wrong. Tell me why you're upset about what quarterback. What do you know about him? Right? Do that. I'm encouraging you all. I am saying to you, I understand why you're upset. Now, I want you to understand who you're upset about. Because right now, there's no information. I have none. And some of you have less than I have. And I got none. So start to reach out to scouts. Start to get these evaluations from the pros who've been looking at these kids for the last 2-3 years. Right? Shedeur Sanders has been on the radar since he was at Jackson State, right? And then he goes to Colorado. We know who's coaching him, right? Dart's got pro coaching. Cam Ward, I know nothing about his coaching. I know nothing about his system. I just see a guy that's super talented when I cut on film or when I cut on their game, not film, but when I watch a game. So everybody's upset. Get it. Do some research and tell me about the quarterbacks that you're upset that you may or may not get.
Well,
right?
the segment of the Giant fan base that's livid, half of them are livid because they want Sanders, and the other half are livid because they want Ward.
But can either half tell me why? Or give
Yeah,
me a
that's my
scouting
point.
report.
There's no Andrew
them.
Luck in this draft. By all accounts, 2011, 2012 draft, the feeling amongst every NFL evaluator was Andrew Luck was the surest bet since Peyton Manning.
Mm-hmm.
And Andrew Luck proved to be that. He immediately became a stud player. Unfortunately, his career got ended because of injury.
A bad offensive line.
Correct. They got the poor guy killed. Trevor Lawrence was the next one, not of that same certainty, but he was a guy that was consensus number one. Hasn't panned out all that well.
I still hold out hope.
Yeah.
I hold out hope for him because he is that talented, but
Correct.
He has no offensive line. He has no wide receivers.
So, you're getting all upset over, like you said, do some research on it.
Mm-hmm.
Carl, another thing with the fans that are livid and filling up our timeline, like as the game is unfolding, as the game is over, and just livid with this team winning. You clearly have never been anywhere near and around professional football, and you probably have never played football at any kind of significant level.
Mm-hmm.
And high school, we can go to high school, because did you see the joy and the celebration and how fired up they are when they got a fourth down stop or when they made a play and they scored a touchdown? Yeah. And as the final seconds were ticking off, it was like a Mardi Gras on the sideline. That's professional football.
That's what they play for.
Did you see Armon Watts battle back to get back from being on injured reserve, only to be carted off the field? He was so injured. We don't know the degree of his injury, but he couldn't even stand up to be put in the cart. His teammates had to lift him and put him on the cart. Did you see the Indianapolis Colts players kneeling in prayer right by Armon Watts? The opposition. It's a hard, violent game. You can tank in basketball. It's really easy to just hoist up threes, not play D, let them beat you in transition, and blow games. And by the way, every guy on the court in an NBA game, every guy on that bench, they got guaranteed contracts. They ain't no guaranteed contract. The emotion that was shown for Armon Watts by not only his teammates, but by the opposition speaks to the brutality of this game, which makes tanking That is sports talk radio, uneducated sports announcers who host shows on talk radio, and uneducated people from that follow sports that don't know anything about professional football. It
Well, and
does
it's
not
also,
exist.
it doesn't. And here's the other thing. If it doesn't go your way in Madden, you can reset. You can cut it off and cut it back on. You don't have that luxury in sports. Every game, they get 17 of them. And if they are good enough, they'll get to playoffs. Every one counts. So, they've only won 3. And you're saying, well, they shouldn't have won that one. Well, for them, they want to win that because it's their job. It's what they do. The kid, he's got 3 names. I want to keep saying Bryce Ford Wheaton, but the
Amir
returner,
Smith Marset.
Amir Smith Marset, off the streets, didn't have a job until the Giants signed him. Did something that very few people have done with this new kickoff rule. He took it 100, folks. You think if you put that on tape and every team is trying to figure out how to get one of those returns, and he's able to do that, you think his resume is now worthy of review? He got that opportunity because he didn't lay down. He didn't throw the game that some of you would desire.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Amir, don't take this to the house. Yeah, get a nice return, but don't really try to bust it for 100 because we're trying to tank the game and we need the #1 draft pick. The dude, he was a 5th round pick with Minnesota. He's bounced around. He had a punt return for a touchdown in Carolina last year. He's your typical 4th-year dude just trying to keep a job.
Yeah.
How about Jake Kubas? He's an undrafted free agent that's getting a chance to start. Hey, Jake, don't block so hard because we're trying to lose this game. So really, when they run a twist, don't really pick it up because we got to lose this game because we need the #1 overall pick. So, we'll give you a decent grade on it.
Yeah, we'll give you a decent grade, and you'll have to find a new job next year. And good luck because you put shit on tape.
I'll give you another example. Hey, Ty Summers. You're in your 6th year out of TCU. You were a 7th round pick of Green Bay. You played for New Orleans last year. You're only on special teams. And you went to camp this year with Jacksonville. And you know what? They told you at the end of camp, hey, the coach wants to see you. Bring your playbook. So, the dude's career could be over, possibly. You never know. And now he gets a chance to start for the Giants in a meaningful game. Dude had 11 tackles yesterday. Hey, Ty, too many tackles. What are you trying so hard for? We need the #1 overall pick.
We need you to throw the game.
Hey, Elijah Garcia, don't recover that fumble. We're trying to lose the game. You should have just let the ball sit there and not recovered it.
Yeah.
It's mind-bogglingly stupid that people have that mentality.
Yeah, it really is. And then you're upset about something that you don't even know has even materialized yet because the final draft order isn't set. And if there is someone in this draft that is that generational and the Giants need to get them, they're within striking distance because the team in front of them have a quarterback already. So, and then they're like, well, now we're trading away our future. No. The quarterback you want is the future, isn't it? Isn't that what you say you want? So you do what you have to do to get the player that you want if he's that generational. So if it costs you a 1st round pick, then he's your generation. He's going to be there for the next 18 years. He's going to be your next Eli. So you shouldn't mind giving up that if that would bring you the joy that Eli Manning brought you with 2 Super Bowls. So we can't have it both ways, but however way you want it, folks. And again, I'm going to repeat myself. I understand, but it doesn't work that way. But when I'm asking you, I'm encouraging you. Research the guy that you're upset that you may not get. Get some real football people. Get those reports because I guarantee you by the time that combines come, some of y'all going to be cool on both of these players because there are going to be some reports that come out that you're going to be like, see, I told you. He's not as good as they're going to say this is going to be the next Mariota and Jameis Winston draft, right? You don't know. Wait till the experts talk, right? And see what happens. See what the upside is. See what the real upside is, not armchair quarterbacking. Get the guys that have followed these kids for the last 3 years and have data on them. Not the Giants folks that you have no confidence in. Read some of the other scouting reports and see what comes out. See what it's saying, because you're very upset about people you know nothing about. I can tell you that right now. All you hear is a name, and they're the 2 biggest names coming out so far. You're upset, right? You don't even know if you're out of the running to get one of those kids, but you're upset about somebody you don't know anything about. You've watched every college football game, right? Okay, are you an evaluator of quarterbacks? I would say to you, let some of the evaluators, whether they're the pros in this world or the Dan Schneiders of this platform, because they haven't even started to dig in yet on these quarterbacks, and they do a lot of in-depth research. But the people that are screaming at me and mad at me because the Giants won, y'all ain't done no research. Y'all know less about these kids than I do, and I know nothing from a professional level. I know what I see watching games.
You're just watching TV.
Yeah.
You're just watching TV and you're watching these games and you're like, you won't be sitting through the interview process, which is a big factor. And guess what? None of us, including the draft experts, will have the medical records, which is the biggest thing in all this. So, but again, like this notion of being angry that the team won, the players, none of them will say this. And I thought the guys, for the most part, after the game yesterday, really did a good job of answering the questions and sidestepping. And I understand why the reporters were asking questions that they did. That's their job, and I understand that. But like this, you clearly, anybody that has that take is somebody that's never been around a professional football team.
Right.
It's not, and again, it's different than basketball. It's different than other sports, because I saw a dude get so injured that he could not even get on the cart by himself. And he had to be lifted by his teammates. And I saw the opponent kneeling.
Yeah. So add that to your perspective rage, right? Or your respective rage, because it means something to these kids. And you're saying, well, they had, 13 other games that they could have done something. They didn't go out there and not try to win.
Yeah.
That's why they don't end the season after 10, 12 games. You got 17 to play. You got to play 17. Your hope as coaches, as fans, as players, is that you can put it all together and get out of that game what you've been seeing on film when the coach said, this is a play we left. This is 6 points we left on the field. The Giants could have scored 50, but they decided to kneel down. They could have scored 50 yesterday. And this is what people were expecting from a Brian Daboll offense, because we hear, he's such a good play caller. He knows how to scheme it up. And then there are people that are showing you all year, here's a guy that's open that Jones missed. Here's a guy that's open if Jones had a little more time. Here's a guy who was on the flea flicker he missed. Well, every one of these plays that Brian Daboll schemed up yesterday, they executed. Now, they've been trying all year, but they put it together too. And again, you can be mad because they didn't do it, with any consistency throughout the year. And there are factors that are involved in that, but it came together for them. And that's what matters for those players. They want to put these things together and win. They don't throw games. You're upset. I understand it. I'm not the reason why you're upset. I didn't play and I didn't control the outcome. Have some courage and go say the same things you're saying to me to those players. because those are the ones it means something to. What it means to you is it means you may or may not get the guy that you think is the best guy when you know nothing about any of these kids. And I hope that Ward, Dart, and Sanders are all generational kids, right? But you watching them on TV is the same as you watching Caleb Williams at USC doing the whirling dervish and getting away with it, and he's getting his ass smacked around in Chicago trying to do the same things, right? So there are certain things you see on TV that ain't going to translate at this level. Those true professionals who do this for a living, they'll give you those things in a scouting report. But right now, you know none of that. But you're raging.
Well, you're raging for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, guess what? Hey, I got a news flash for the fans out there. The angry fan base, they're going to try to win again on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to go to Philadelphia, and they're going to try to win the game. And guess what? If Nick Sirianni does the smart thing, which I think at the end of the day he will do, which is rest as many of his frontline guys as humanly possible, because, again, the number 2 seed doesn't have a bye. Only the number 1 seed has a bye. So Philadelphia is going to host a playoff game either the following Saturday or Sunday at Lincoln Financial Field. So he's going to try to play as many of his backups as he can play. Now, you can't play all of your backups because there's just not enough guys on a game day roster. But every single guy that's going to go out there is going to be like, damn, I get a chance to start my first ever NFL game. Yeah. I'm going to do really well. I'm going to show my coaches that I deserve more time. I'm going to show somebody else around the league that, hey, we may have a couple extra guards here, but if you're looking for a guard, I could be your guy next year in free agency. And the Giants are going to be the same way. The guys are going to be playing to put something on tape to get themselves jobs for next year.
Yeah, they don't throw games. Yeah. And folks, and then, when you hear, I think it was Jermaine Illuminor said that we want to bring a young player in here to a culture. And then you're saying, well, one game, what does that do for your culture? Good. You said that the last year and the year before that, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Well, win 2 games, right? And then you're going to really be pissed off because they won another one in a row. And because because Malik Nabers hates losing, he wants to make an impact on the culture today. Not next year when your guy comes. He's here today. He's a 1,000-yard receiver with a chance to break the rookie record. It matters to him today. The culture that he wants, he is the poster boy of hating to lose, right? So that is the culture, folks. That's why he went out and played the way he did, because he didn't want to lose. Losing kills him. He hates losing. That's the culture. Whether it's 1 win or 12 wins, that guy hates to lose. That's the culture you want. And that's what they're playing to win for every week. So be upset. I understand why. I'm not the reason why you're upset.
Neither are these players. Yeah, don't blame these players, because you know what? Like I said, these guys handle themselves great in the post-game press conference. I got sidetracked in that thought. But my guess is they're all laughing under their breath. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And Slayton said it. He goes, I'm not going out there to get my ass kicked to lose.
Right. So
meet me in the treatment room the rest of the week.
Well, how about this? Or all of you who want them to lay down or throw the game, go put on a uniform and help them blow the game. Your life will probably end when you get hit, your life as you know it, and you'll think, well, was it worth it that someone just broke me in half because I wanted to contribute to the team throwing a game? It's just,
or if they play poorly and they wind up not having a job next year, you going to employ them?
Right. Right.
You're going to employ the player?
Yeah, because they did what you wanted them to do. What you should want them to do is win games. Yes, you want them to win more, but you know what? How culture is built, with guys like Malik Nabers going out there and playing his tail off, Tyrone Tracy, both guys, 1,000-yard rookies, right? You lost how many yards did Saquon have last year? 1,200 with the Giants? So while you're missing Saquon Barkley, and you should, because he meant more to this team than just his performance on the field. You got a rookie in a bad year with an offensive line that's been inconsistent, to say the least. He gets 1,000 yards.
Well, he's got 1,000 yards from scrimmage.
From scrimmage, yeah.
Yeah.
But these are the numbers. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Saquon last year had 280 receiving, 960. So he had 1,200 yards from scrimmage last year. Tracy's over 1,000.
Yeah. So what you get in terms of production, and this is, again, I am not speaking for Joe Shane, other than the fact that I said he's a smart guy, and I have my opinions on whether he should stay or not, but I'm not going to even weigh in. But when you're crapping on, front office, you can give credit also, because if Barkley had 1,200 and your rookie has 1,000 yards from scrimmage, that's pretty good production. That's pretty good production from a rookie. So you should hope that as the team gets better, his performances, either stays or gets better there. That's what you want. That's the progress that you're looking for. When you see all the holes in this offensive line and guys being injured and being lost for the year, you got a kid that jumps on the scene. He's 1,000 yards from scrimmage. I'm going to take that, right? Because that's part of the quote-unquote culture that you guys are mocking. This is the culture that they want. The players can decide this. And this is what and you know what? Malik Nabers didn't just last week decide that he hated losing. He's hated losing every loss, right? So that's a culture thing. So, that's all I got, folks. Players don't lose games. You're upset. Research the people that you're upset about, that you may or may not get. And oh, by the way, Brock Purdy was in the Super Bowl, undrafted, or no, Mr. Irrelevant, right?
The last pick.
Yeah, Mr. Irrelevant. So he was in the Super Bowl. So there are a lot of paths, folks. The Giants have earned the right to be picking in the top 5. We'll see where this whole thing lands. And they'll get players, right? And if the guy that they want is the one that will change and take the franchise in the future successfully, they'll find a way to get him. Simple as that. And don't tell me, well, they had a chance to get Jaden Daniels. No, there was no takers there, because in this draft, you got teams that have quarterbacks already that are young that will be open for business. So if there is a particular guy that they covet, who they feel that is the best, whether it's Ward or whether it's Sanders or anybody else that enters this draft, they'll find a way to get them if they're in that top 5. Because that's what you do when you want that. You don't tank to ensure you get it, because you may not.
Again, you can't tank because the players won't tank.
Yeah, players don't throw games. And if they do,
this sport,
they get thrown out of the sport. Yeah, but pause your anger for a second and then just start looking at scouting reports on these two guys. So this is so that you're informed. So on draft day, if it doesn't go your way, you can now recite all the things that you're angry about, of why you're angry about the player that you didn't get.
All right, we'll be back later in the week. We'll do a preview of the final game of the season with the Giants and Eagles. We'll break it down and take a look at that matchup. Again, most likely most of the Eagles players will not be playing in this football game. But
and it's not because they're tanking, folks. It's not because they're tanking. It's because they have a playoff to be ready for in a week. And the expectation of the players that they put out there on the field is that they play winning football.
How do we like to end it?
Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Bleav in Giants.